Hurricanes fans, we are back. Believe it or not, the sun came back up after we've lost this horrible game to SMU. And a lot of folks were in the comment section. I appreciate the comments. A lot of people were telling me games that hurt them more than this SMU game. And I was on there saying, like, nah, this SMU game hurt me more than any game that I can remember in the last probably 15 years, for real. Even the game we lost to Georgia Tech when we didn't kneel, like this game hurt worse than that. Mainly because SMU comes into our conference. They go 8-0 in the regular season in the ACC. They go to the ACC championship in their first year. And my thought was, they didn't really play anybody. If we would have played them last year, we would have beat them. That was my thought then. Also, our offensive coordinator leaves, goes to SMU. A bunch of our Hurricanes players leaves, go to SMU because they feel like the grass is greener over there. And I remember thinking last year, when we finally play them, we're gonna show them what's good. Like we're gonna show them that the grass is not greener over there at SMU. Like really, and they came out and beat us. Like I'm still flabbergasted by that. Like I still cannot believe that we lost that game. And it's one thing if they just beat you. It's another thing when you just play just bad, dumb football and lose based on. Anyway, we'll just move on, okay? So today's conversation is going to be about Mario Cristobal. As y'all know, I've been one of the biggest supporters of Mario Cristobal online, period. When it comes to YouTube, ESPN, people writing articles, all that, I've been right at the top as far as Mario Cristobal supporters. But I'm not in a cult like a lot of people in this country are. When my leader does something dumb, someone who's leading my team, does something that I don't agree with, I can stand in front of you and be like, no, I don't agree with that, bro. Like you're doing this wrong. You're doing that wrong. You probably should change this. You probably should change that. So today I'm talking about the 5 things that I believe Mario Cristobal is doing incorrectly and need to change or tweak immediately for us to get this thing, I'm not going to say back on the road, back on the tracks for this season, because I think this season is just about a wrap. But just for the program going forward, the way that we can actually begin to win some national championships, these are the 5 things that we've got to make adjustments on starting right now, this week. All right. So the first thing that we've got to do is we've got to speed up the offense. We have to. If you just think about like when you playing your son or your daughter in the driveway, let's say you're playing them in basketball, the last thing you would ever do if you're playing against your child, because you don't want to lose to your child, right? The last thing you would ever do is say, first one to score a bucket wins. Because you know your child might be able to just throw a ball up backwards and it goes in and you lose. That's the last thing you want to happen, right? So what do you do to keep a fluke victory from happening? You extend the game out. You make more possessions in the game. You say first to 10 points wins. You might throw it up backwards and score on me, little dude, as I call my son. You might throw it up backwards and score on me, little dude, but you ain't going to do that 10 times. And you're not going to score. You're not going to stop me 10 times. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to extend the game out to keep him from beating me on a fluke. We are doing the opposite. And I've mentioned this, I think it was in week 4. This was a few weeks ago when I mentioned this. We're playing too slow. Right now, what we're doing is every time we snap the ball, we're snapping the ball within 5 seconds of the play clock. Every time we score a touchdown, it takes us 6-7 minutes to score that touchdown. Every drive, even the unsuccessful drives, take 5 minutes off of the clock. It just doesn't make sense. This is how you get to halftime against Stanford and the score is only 7-7. It's because you've only had 3 possessions because you're holding the ball the entire half. Just go and look at the time of possession that we've had in every game. Look at the time of possession that we had against SMU. We killed them in time of possession, but the problem is we're not finishing those drives. We're taking 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. I shouldn't say 6, 7 apparently because, oh my gosh. We're taking 5, 6, 7 minutes off the clock and we're ending with a field goal. Or we take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes off the clock. We end up getting to the 25-yard line, but then we have a pass interference, take us back 15 yards. Then another false start, another 5 yards. And before you know it, Start as a 1st and 10 from the 25. We're way back at the 45 now. And we go 3 and out after that. And then, we can't even kick a field goal anymore. But we took 5 minutes off the clock. So that's a whole quarter. It's a whole third of a quarter gone. And you'll probably only get 2 or 3 more possessions the rest of this half. That is how you end up in these close games when you should be winning by 15, 20 points. That's what happens. You're shortening the game. You do that when you are the lesser team. I told you I grew up playing basketball. My dad was a basketball coach. He died on a basketball coach coaching basketball. That's how serious we took the sport. He literally dropped dead on the basketball court. Like we breathed, drank, ate. We did everything basketball. We played sports our entire life. That's all we did. We learned the lessons that I've learned that allowed me to start successful businesses and win all these national awards that I've gotten. I learned them through the world of sports. We took sports extremely seriously. So when you look at these situations, like when we grew up, we was playing basketball. If we played a team that we were way better than, we would speed the game up to get more possessions. We would press, full court press the entire game. We say, you're either going to turn the ball over or you're going to get a quick layup out of this. And then we're going to get the ball. We're going to come down and score real quick. And we're going to get a bunch of possessions in this game because we figure the more possessions we play, the more chance we have of beating you because we're just better. You can't fluke us 1,000 times. You might fluke us once or twice, but not 1,000. But then on the other hand, if we were playing a team that was much bigger than us and we felt like we were the underdogs and they probably could beat us, they were more talented, then it was like, all right, slow this game down. We're going to walk the ball up the court every possession, take as much time off the clock as we can. We're going to shoot. Everything that we get has to be a completely uncontested shot, wide open looks. And then whenever we play defense, we're going to drop everything back, play a zone, guard the paint. I know I'm talking a whole lot of basketball here, but most of the time, football players and football fans understand basketball too. So I hope you understand the analogy there. What we are doing with the Hurricanes, we're playing into the hands of the opponents who are inferior to us. We are giving them what they want. They want to slow the game down to have the least amount of possessions as possible. So why are we playing into that? Our team is better than, more talented than almost every team in the country. So we should want to extend it and say, instead of just having 4 possessions, we're going to end up having 6 or 7. We're going to speed this thing up, not hurry up offense because we'll do a false start on that almost every damn time. But instead of doing a hurry up offense, we'll at least play at a little bit of pace and not do a huddle and just walk to the line and get things going that way. Snap the ball with 10 to 15 seconds on the play clock instead of 3 seconds on the play clock. Just think, how many times have y'all seen us call a timeout to keep from burn a timeout to keep from having to delay a game? It happens too often. And it's always because we are walking to the line, we're getting into a huddle, we're bleeding the clock all the way to 4 to 5 seconds, and then we're finally snapping. How many times have y'all seen Carson Beck going crazy at Brockermark because he's not giving them the ball? He's snapping, hurry, hurry, hurry. How many times have y'all seen that? Too many. When you're playing an inferior opponent, you should want to play more possessions. I've been saying this for about 4 or 5 weeks now. Got to change that. And if we're not going to change that, and we are going to slow this thing down and we're going to go to like a 3 possession half, and in the next half, we only have 3 more possessions. If we're going to do that, we have to cash in on every single red zone opportunity we have. And we have not been doing that. So I think we just need to speed it up, open the game up, snap the ball 10 to 15 seconds on the play clock and move it that way. Okay, now let's talk about the second thing. The second thing is accountability. We've got to increase our accountability on this team. I like to call players by numbers instead of their names, but my man number 11 on the defensive line, like, what are we doing? Like, why does he keep jumping off sides? Come on, like you're the nose tackle. The ball is right in front of you. You move when the ball moves. And I don't really want to kill Mario Cristobal on this too much because at some point you got to ask yourself, like, what more could the coach actually do in this situation? Because I've seen 11's reaction when he jumps off sides. I've seen it. He looks disgusted at himself. So if he's disgusted at himself, then you know the coaches are telling him, bro, you're killing us. Stop doing this. The next time you do this, you're coming to the sideline. Like I saw him do that against Stanford. He jumps off sides and runs directly to the sideline because he knew, probably Jason Taylor told him, next time you jump, just come over here and stand by me, son. You're done for a while. He did it again this half, just blows up people, just runs through them. Like, come on, cuz. So I don't really know obviously I don't know what's being done in practice. I've seen press conferences where I've heard Mario Cristobal explaining the importance of being disciplined on the football field, not jumping off sides, not having false starts, how he's just hampering on this in practice. I've heard him talk about this, and they're still making these mistakes. That's part of why I was so frustrated in my last video, and I was saying, this is the first game that I can ever remember saying the players let the coaches down. I, I don't know, man. It's somehow we've got to increase our accountability. And I like to give y'all examples of real life things that I've been through, mainly because I don't like people talking about stuff and not having any kind of experience, and they just going on there, just talk without anything to back it up. But this situation that the Hurricanes are in right now reminds me of a situation in one of the businesses that I own. It's a child care facility, preschool. We had a situation where the directors of this preschool kept making these little mistakes over and over and over and over. And I was just like, oh, they'll get it figured out. They're pretty new. They'll figure it out. And then they ended up making an $11,000 mistake. It cost me personally $11,000 in one day. So I was like, okay, now I got to get some attention up here, get some real accountability going. So I went up, explained to all these ladies how this decision cost me personally all this money, my wife and I, all this money. And I was like, we got to change the standard around here. So I'm going to have to hold y'all to a different standard because, as they say, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right? So I explained to them, from now on, we're going to have to do this right, do that right, do this right. If I tell you to send me an email at 3 o'clock on Thursday, it needs to be sent to me at 3 o'clock on Thursday. So I go up to my office and we have a meeting scheduled for 1 o'clock. This was on a Tuesday, 1 o'clock on Tuesday. So I'm sitting in the office waiting on them to get there, and I see 12:55 rolls past, then 12:58 rolls past, 1 o'clock rolls past. They're still not in the office. So they finally come to the office 2 minutes later. So they were actually 2 minutes late. 1:02 is when they got in there. And I went off on them, went smooth off on them. And at first they were looking like, why is he tripping? We only 2 minutes late. But once I explained to them the importance of raising the standard and doing everything the correct way, because if you do this incorrectly, if you're only 2 minutes late for this meeting, then you'll only be 2 minutes late for this, or you'll only be 2 days late for that, turning this document in that's important and costing me $11,000. So it seems like Mario Cristobal has got to get to that level of accountability and just stressing every little detail, every single detail. If they make a tiny mistake, nope, do it again, start over, do it again. If they are 1 second late doing something in a play, nope, blow the whistle, start all the way over, put another hour on the clock, start all the way over, do it again. That is the kind of mentality that we're going to have with these Hurricanes, apparently, because whatever they're doing right now is not working. It's just not. So the first thing, we got to speed up the offense. The second thing is we got to figure out some kind of accountability level and just reset the standard of what's going on there, just like I had to do in one of my businesses. And it's helped us so far. That actually was about 2 weeks ago. But I'm telling y'all, those ladies had never seen that version of Jordan before. They were pretty shook, as they should have been. Yeah, I might seem like a real nice guy on this camera, but I can get kind of crazy in business. Anyway, more imagination. That's the third thing, man. I can respect the fact that Mario Cristobal, he's got a certain type of football that he wants to play, and I can respect that. I really can respect that. I think a true leader lines out the way that they envision winning teams to look like, and then they implement that type of play style year after year after year. And they built it like all the players that they get through the transfer portal, all the players they get from high school, every player that they have should be picked to fit this type of style that they want to play. Unlike what Florida State Mike Norvell's done. He's just grasping at straws. But you got to make a little tweak here and there to be successful. My man, Nick Saban, I think the best college football coach of all time. It's my opinion. Even he didn't get cute on offense, but even he saw how the things were changing around him. And he started bringing in people like Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian can get kind of cute on offense every now and again, a little too cute for Nick Saban's liking. But he brought him in because he knew he had this sharp offensive mind, and he knew how much the offense was starting to change around him, and people were just getting pass happy. So he was like, line up in the eye every possession and running straight ahead at people is not going to work for me. So I got to get a little bit more imaginative, and he did that, and it worked. And then he went and got Lane Kiffin, who's also imaginative. He did that, and it worked. And that's how people like Nick Saban are able to have this longevity in these sports. They don't just focus on the one thing that they like doing, but they look at the one thing they like doing and they add a little bit to it. And then when the world around, and if that's winning, cool, we'll continue doing that. But once the world around them starts to evolve, they evolve right with it. And they just keep on growing and keep on growing. And that's how, instead of being successful for 1 or 2 years or winning 2 or 3 championships, they win 6 or 7 championships because they just evolve with the times. And Mario Cristobal has not done that recently. It seems like he's more stubborn than I am somehow. I didn't even think that was possible. My wife definitely not think that's possible. But he seems more stubborn than me. He's just like, no, this is what we're doing. It's going to work. We're going to stick to it. We can't do that. We got to be a little bit more imaginative, which I do think that in this past game on offense, we started off that way. We started off passing the ball on first down, which I was like, that's nice to see. We ran the ball outside, which was really nice to see. It's just these dumb penalties here and there, missed passes that here and there, that just killed all the momentum on these drives. And before you know it, we end the game with 20 points. It's like, really? So got to be more imaginative. Okay, the next thing, and I know this is going to be a tough point for a lot of y'all because you might think this is dumb, but I think this is a point in time in which we got to say, Carson Beck needs to sink or swim. I've told y'all before, I think that O.C. Dimples is a pretty good offensive coordinator, but I also know that he is afraid of losing the game for the team. What I mean by that is, if he's got a quarterback who is cooking back there, like, say, a Cam Ward, he can draw up some stuff that you'd be like, dang, that was a good play call. And y'all going to say he doesn't, but I'm telling you, I've seen it. So I don't want to hear that. Like, I've seen him call up some really nice plays. I mentioned one last week in which he did a play where he had a fake reverse and the player stops in the backfield and takes off running the opposite direction for a wide open touchdown. I've seen him do that when he's got a quarterback who can handle the situation, handle the pressure, not seeing ghosts, not about to crumble under the pressure. I've seen him call excellent games. But then I've also seen situations where he's got Tyler Van Dyke, who's throwing the ball to the other team left and right. And he's like, whoa, I probably better slow this game down a little bit, not do any 5 wide sets. Let's just line up wide and run it up the middle a couple of times. And then if we get to a 3rd and 4, throw a small little crossing route to, just to keep the defense honest, because we can't run it every play. We're going to run these little, that's what he's doing right now. I'm telling you, he's concerned about his quarterback. And he doesn't want to open it up too much because he thinks his quarterback is going to lose the game for the team. So his mentality is, we're going to run first, and when we need to pass, we'll pass it. That's been his game plan for the last few weeks. I don't know how much the Hurricanes paid Carson Beck. I have no idea. It's honestly none of my business. But to have a quarterback come in as highly touted as this guy has been, I think it's criminal for us to be running the ball first, to have this run first mentality. I think at this point, we've got just a few games left. I say whatever plays you would have called last year for Cam Ward, call them now. Just call them. If Carson Beck just shrinks and wets the bed and craps the bed, then at least we know that Carson Beck was the problem. Because right now, all the fingers are being pointed at the OC right now. All the fingers are. Some folks are down on Carson Beck. Respect. I understand that. But the majority of the people are saying Dawson doesn't know what he's doing, which I don't believe that. I believe he is a good offensive coordinator. He's just incredibly scared of his quarterback right now. He does not have a lot of confidence in him. He even talked in his press conference today when they were asking what happened on that last play. He didn't want to throw his quarterback under the bus, but he was like, that ball should have got put on Malachi earlier, sooner. If you just go look at it, Malachi Tony was open. Carson Beck just missed him and pump, fake and pump, pump, pump. Oh, throw it. Interception. That's what happens. And a lot of folks are saying, why is he not throwing the ball? So that's why. He's scared that his quarterback is going to turn the ball over. It's clear. But when I look at the team last year, and he had Cam Ward, he had all the faith in the world in Cam Ward, and he was willing to throw 5 wide out there. He was willing to take his running back. He would have his running back. You remember, he would have Damian Martinez standing next to Cam Ward, and Damian Martinez would go motion out and be one of the receivers, and they would just go 5 wide because he had that much faith in his quarterback. Have you seen him do that one time this year? I'll answer that for you. No, because he does not want to set Carson Beck up in a situation where the defense knows that he's going to throw it. He doesn't have enough confidence in his quarterback. I'm telling y'all, he knows what he's doing. He's a good offensive coordinator. He just does not have faith in his quarterback. I'm telling you. I've seen it. I've seen it. So that's what I just open it all the way up. Whatever plays we called for Cam Ward last year, call them going forward, especially against Syracuse. They suck. We should score 48, 50 points on them. Just open the game up. And if Carson Beck consistently misses receivers, as I've seen him do, if he overthrows or throws at people's feet like I've seen him do, then all the fans will know it's not your fault. You got to do it. And another thing, when it comes to this college football playoffs, our hopes are just, when I say dim, I mean they are just about shot. Just about. There's a little glimmer of hope, just barely. But as y'all know, college football playoffs, a lot of that is like a beauty pageant. And if we win these next few games, let's say we ended up winning out somehow. If we ended up winning out, if we win those games by 7, 8, 10 points, that's not going to be good enough to get in there. But if we win these games 48-7, 52-12, if we start winning games like that and we close the season out by doing that, then this playoff committee just might say, you know, the Hurricanes were 10-2. They dropped 2 close games. Notre Dame is 10-2. They lost to Miami. Let's go ahead and put Miami in, because right now, if we are 10-2 at the end of the season, let's say if the end of the season was today and they were choosing between Notre Dame and Miami, both teams have 2 losses. Even though we beat Notre Dame, they're putting Notre Dame in there. Heather already said it. Heather Dinich already said it. And why? Because the way that Notre Dame has been playing down the stretch, they have been whooping fools lately. That's why. We've been losing lately and they've been whooping fools lately, so they would put them in there. But if we win our last few games and we're scoring a bunch of points and blowing people out and our offense looks revamped and our defense still looks pretty good, I'm telling y'all right now, they will figure out a way to put us in there. The points is going to matter. We got to score more points. So I say, if we're going to go out, let's go out with a bang, man. Like, spread them out. We've been talking about, put this receiver in, put that receiver in. We've been arguing about that because there's only been 3 receivers in the game at a time. Hell, put all 5 of them in, spread them out and throw the ball. Let's see what happens, especially against Syracuse. This is the perfect time to try it. Put off 5 wide a few times. If we're not doing 5 wide, put 4 on the field and 1 running back. Now what are we going to do? You can't stack the box because you think we're going to throw it, but we just might hand it off to this running back and run it right up the center. Spread them out, man. Spread them out and throw the ball. The last thing, the 5th thing, Mario Cristobal. Got to drop that ego. And what I mean by the ego is our offensive line is this killing group that can't lose a rep. They're never going to lose a rep. It's not possible. If there's a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, all we've got to do is run right up the gut, right up the guard, right up the center's back, and we're going to get a first down guaranteed. Even if they've got 10 players in the box, which actually happened in this past game. Got to drop that ego. I know you've got a lot of pride in this offensive line, which I think you should have a lot of pride in it. I believe it's one of the top offensive lines in the country. But they can be beat. They can. It's true. They can be beat. There is a possibility of us, of the front 5 plus a tight end blocking against their front 6 or 7, and their front 6 or 7 beating our 5 or 6. It's very possible. We've seen it multiple times. We've been stuffed on 4th and 1 multiple times this year. Multiple. We got stuffed on 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1 this game. It's possible. So with that being said, got to get a little bit more creative on 4th down. I say I really think the answer is just putting more receivers on the field. I really believe that's the answer. Spread the defense out, man. If you've got 4 receivers on the field, they cannot cheat and put all these players in the box like they've been doing. But when you bring a heavy formation in and you're taking tight ends out and putting guards in, and you're like, yeah, we're going to pound it. We're going to pound it. We're going to run right at you. They're like, okay. And they put 10 on that 3rd and 1 that we did not get. They put 10 players in the box, not 7 or 8, which is crazy work. Not 8 or 9. They had 10 players in the box, and they stopped us. Duh. Because we ran right up the middle. So they just put a hat on a hat. A couple of people won their blocks, and then the other guys just filled the holes. And before you know it, loss of 1 on a 4th and 1. Loss of 1 on a 3rd and 1. That's what happened. So, again, got to speed up the offense. Let's get more possessions. If we're not going to speed up the offense, you have to figure out some kind of way to cash in on every possession. Next thing is accountability. We've got to raise this level of accountability somehow. We have to make it to where these players feel like if I make a mistake, I'm probably never going to play again in this game. Like, I'm just going to have to wait until next game. And I know that's tough because you've got some of these players on the team who are so talented, so you don't really want to hurt your team just to try to send a message, but sometimes you got to do that. And I know it's easy for me to say that when I'm just sitting here talking to a camera and I'm not making millions of dollars every year coaching football. I get it, but it seems to me like there's got to be some type of accountability level that we reach or a new standard that we're teaching so players can get on board and stop making these dumb penalties that it's like at one point at the beginning of the game, at the beginning of the season, it's like, dang, man, these penalties are making this game a lot closer than they need to be. But then when you start saying we lost this game because of penalties, which I truly believe penalties was like a huge reason in why we lost that game, a huge reason. They were drive killers. And for them, for SMU, they were drive keep goings, like whatever the word is that you would drive resumers. Like they just kept the drives going for them and then they killed the drives for us. Penalties, we got to figure that out. The third thing is be more imaginative on offense. Allow OC Dimples to keep this thing going. Whatever he wants to call it, just let him call it for the rest of this season. Let him do it, man. If he wants to do some air raid stuff, cool, let him do it. But I'm telling y'all, if we conduct more if we conduct more 4-wide formations, we get more corners and safeties on the field compared to linebackers and defensive linemen on the field. It's just going to open up the run game even more because instead of our front 5 blocking against 3 linebackers and 4 defensive linemen, they can be blocking against 4 defensive linemen, 1 linebacker probably, and then the rest of them are going to be defensive backs. I'd rather us take our chances with that instead of putting a bunch of tight ends and offensive linemen and 2 running backs. Like, we can't keep doing that. It's not working. It's slowing the game down too much, and people know what's coming. We got to start utilizing this speed a little bit more. That's my take on that. The fourth thing is Beck has to sink or swim here. That's exactly what I would tell Coach Cristobal if I could talk to him right now. This guy's got to sink or swim. I know that you're afraid of him tearing the game up. I understand that because I don't have a whole lot of faith in him right now either. But we're going to have to just see. Just call the plays. Whatever you would call for Cam Ward, call that play for Carson Beck. And let's just see what he does. Let's just see. It can't be any worse than what we're doing right now. We're already turning the ball over, right? We're turning it over, and we're not scoring a lot of points. I would rather take a chance of us scoring a whole lot of points and continue to turn the ball over. Hell, right now what we're doing is we hold the ball the whole half, and we're turning the ball over every now and again. That's stupid to me. Like, we're holding the ball the entire half, but then we're having the occasional interception. I'd rather open this whole thing up. Let's throw 3 touchdowns and an interception rather than trying to run the ball for a touchdown and then potentially throwing 2 interceptions. What are we doing? Okay, so call the plays from last year. And then, like I said earlier, man, that's our real only chance of making the playoffs anyway. It's just starting to score a bunch of points, have our offense looking totally legit by the end of the year, and our defense still rocking. I think the committee just might give us a shot. But then if we walk into this thing and we're still having this slow, methodical offense, we're not scoring any points. We score 20 points against Pitt. We beat them 20-17. They're going to be like, nah, let's go ahead and get Miami out of here. If we go down there to Pitt and beat them 42-17, they'd be like, we have to put them in there. They're definitely one of the best teams in the country. That's what I'm thinking. Last thing, got to drop the ego. Got to drop the ego. And what I mean by that ego is these players on this line, I think our offensive line is great. I still think it is. But they are not elite. They have not gotten to what I talked about earlier this season when I said a great team can run the ball consistently. An elite team can run the ball even when you know we're going to run it. They can't do that right now. When we have the lead, let's say we're about 3 points and we're on a 5-minute drive. We're trying to milk the last 5 minutes of the clock, and they're putting 7 or 8 players in the box. They're going to stop us. But then when you look at the Cowboys from like the early 90s or the 49ers from 5 or 6 years ago, it really didn't matter like what the clock said. They were going to run right at you and get a first down almost every time anyway. That's an elite offensive line. We're not there. We're a great offensive line, I believe, not elite. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish this up with a quick shout out. All right. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue building this thing 1 like and 1 subscription at a time. Okay. This player that I'm thinking about was new to the program. I believe he ended up signing with the Hurricanes. 2014 was his first year. A lot of people compared him to Sean Taylor, which I was one of those people. He wore number 26. He was a safety and ended up playing linebacker in the NFL. He did not play his full college career for the Hurricanes because some stuff happened. Some weird stuff started bubbling up. He ended up going and playing for I think an NAIA school. But then he played in the NFL for like 6 years as a linebacker. So he played safety for the Hurricanes, linebacker in the NFL, played for the Raiders, played for the 49ers, played for a few different teams. But even though he only played a couple of years, he played a few games as a freshman, started as a sophomore. And even though he only played those 2 seasons, he's still one of my favorite players, probably top 125. Not in my top 100, but top 125 maybe. Player that I'm thinking about is Ray Armstrong. So shout out to Ray Armstrong. I don't know where he is right now. No idea. Don't hear anything from him, which is probably a good thing. Because it seems nowadays, if you're hearing about players who played in the early 2010s, usually it's because they're in trouble. So the fact that we're not hearing anything from Ray Armstrong, that's a beautiful thing. So God bless Ray Armstrong, one of my favorite Hurricanes, because he would come up and hit you. I remember he had a hit on, I think, DeMarco Murray when he played for OU. We played against OU in 2015, I think. and he came down that hole and hit him so hard. Yeah, one of my favorite memories because my family are big OU fans, and we finally played against OU and beat them, and that was crazy. But anyway, that's all that I got for y'all. Let me know what other things you think the Hurricanes, more particularly, what should Mario Cristobal be focusing on to change over the next few games, and not just this season, but seasons going forward. Let me know what your thoughts are on that stuff. All right. Well, that's all I can't talk. That's all that I got for y'all today. Take care. God bless. Peace.